So, Combined Arms, the newest addition to Battlefield 5 in the Lightning Strikes update. I've spent my fair time in it. I haven't played every level yet, and honestly, that's with good reason. Combined Arms itself isn't exactly awful. I wouldn't call it very good, but I wouldn't really call it really bad either. It's just a big pile of meh, you know? On the surface, it's simply a mediocre shooter fest. Spawn, complete a simple objective that involves killing mindless AI, run to the extraction zone, fight off waves of mindless AI, and you're already done. Combined Arms faces an issue that could have easily been avoidable. It wasn't released with the launch of the game. I'll get to that point later. First, I want to break down the pros and cons of Combined Arms, because there are certainly some on both sides of the spectrum. So, first, the pros. Assignments, whether they be daily, class, weapon, tides of war, you name it, can be completed by playing Combined Arms, so long as the assignment doesn't involve objective zones. If the assignment is just simple, kill 12 enemies in a round, kill enemies with headshots, you can complete those. And you can even complete Tides of War assignments. The mode allows for single player gameplay. This further boosts my previous point about being able to grind out assignments. You can simply hop into Combined Arms, get some kills with a weapon, finish a mission for some company coin, then you're done with the assignment with relative ease. Oh yeah, next point, you can earn up to 32,000 company coin by completing every level at every difficulty. A long grind for sure, but the option's there at least. And Lord knows I need my company coin. Also, they brought back that dumb face mask from the beta for the Axis soldiers. Seriously, look at this thing. This is amazing. He looks like the Gimp from Pulp Fiction. I need this. And honestly, that's about it. I know. I said the mode wasn't necessarily bad either. So let's just see whether the cons outweigh the pros or not. Con number 1. It feels pretty uninspired and very rushed. Honestly, that could describe large chunks of Battlefield 5, let's be honest. Next point, the difficulty settings are pretty dumb. All changing the difficulty does is change the time to kill for both yourself and the rest of your enemies, making them feel like bullet sponges in the easy difficulty, and more fragile than glass in the harder difficulties. Seriously, on the medium and hard difficulties, the Gewehr 43 is a one-shot kill. A one-shot kill from a semi-auto rifle. That's ridiculous. Third point, there is no motivation for you to be doing these missions. There's no context behind the objectives. Like, I don't know why I'm assassinating 3 colonels. What are the stakes? Fourth point, personally, I haven't experienced any major glitches, but apparently for some players there's been graphical bugs. Some players have even beaten levels without being awarded company coin. It's always a company coin. I'm sure these kinds of things will get fixed, but this thing was delayed 4 months. Why are there still, these really bad glitches? And the worst offender overall, it's just boring. It really is just a boring mode to play, especially in solo. You're probably wondering, that sounds like some pretty bad negatives, and sure, you'd be correct, but I don't think this mode was developed with people like myself in mind. This mode was clearly developed for new players to ease into the multiplayer, giving them the option to battle against AI either alone or with friends. But does it work on that fundamental level? Does it do a decent job easing inexperienced players into the multiplayer component of Battlefield 5? Simply, no, it doesn't. And I think for 2 main reasons. First reason, it wasn't offered at launch. If Combined Arms was part of Battlefield 5 at launch, I highly doubt people would even give it much attention. Even if it had less levels to make up for an earlier release, let's say 4 instead of 8, it would have been just fine. Nothing more, nothing less, just fine. But it would have done something useful at least. It would have filled its clearly defined role. With a flood of new players buying Battlefield 5 at launch, Combined Arms would have been great for those players to jump in and get a feel for the Battlefield experience. It still wouldn't have been all that great, obviously the mode is just boring, but at least it would do something of value. Second reason, it doesn't feel like a Battlefield game. In my opinion, Combined Arms doesn't even feel like I'm playing a Battlefield game, seriously. Their idea of easing players in is to give them half-baked co-op content that's released a whole 4 months later after launch when there are very few new players. The levels themselves also don't really introduce players into that true Battlefield experience anyway. The missions are small scale and done in a contained area with no access to vehicles and with poor AI that barely knows what cover is. There are no tactics involved other than I guess sharing ammo and health with teammates, if you call that tactics. Battlefield 5, even if less so than others in the franchise, is a sandbox shooter. The mode is called Combined Arms. When I think of Combined Arms, I think of tanks rolling across the countryside with planes above and infantry following behind. I think of a squad pushing up a hill, laying smokes, using flanking tactics to get behind some enemy armor, blowing it to smithereens. I think of large-scale warfare where bullets are flying and planes are dropping bombs preventing enemies from advancing. Instead, you have this. Now, all of this would be fine if the levels were actually really good. If DICE could have delivered a good co-op mode that uses a linear level design and small-scale squad-based combat, I would love it. But the missions themselves are, as you guessed, not really that good. Firstly, they provide very little context. Go assassinate these 3 colonels. Okay, but why? And why is there no timer to complete the objective in? There needs to be stakes to the missions to make it feel meaningful. That logic applies to really any kind of mission. It applies to any form of storytelling imaginable. Yes, these small missions are instances of storytelling. Let the inner film critic in me come out. For instance, instead of just saying destroy 3 artillery pieces and that's all, give me a timer to complete the mission in. Better yet, give me a casualty meter. Let me know how many soldiers have been killed because of how long I'm taking, and have that affect my score in the end. Give me a genuine sense of urgency. Honestly, one little thing that I think that really could help Combined Arms is just like small cinematics before and after the level starts. Show me, like, if, let's say with the artillery guns, if I fail the mission, show me the artillery destroying, a friendly base. Show it killing friendly AI so that I know what the stakes are. Honestly, what would have been better is if DICE added a way to play a normal conquest game with a bunch of bots instead of players. Hell, that could even replace the practice range, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm not a developer, so this is only speculation. But I doubt it would take more time and resources to program a better AI to play with than to create 8 whole missions for a co-op game mode. Previous Battlefield games let you play with bots, and although these bots were about as bright as a dim candle, at least that option was there for people new to the franchise or with shoddy internet. Combined Arms certainly has its merits. It's a great way to get some assignments done and to earn some company coin. And even though it doesn't provide what I would consider a true Battlefield experience, it still acts as a decent way to get fresh players familiar with the mechanics of the game. But those new players have either moved on or already know what they're doing. This mode has no audience that wanted it, and it didn't have the quality to generate a new audience. Hopefully DICE learns from this misstep and thinks about what new and veteran players truly want from a Battlefield game.